Greetings YouTube, LMS Tactical here. I'm going to try something different. I'm trying to get Mason walked before the thunderstorm gets here, and I might have made a mistake because I hear thunder coming in close. I can hear it rumbling right now. For those of you that don't know, the only thing I'm afraid of more afraid of than bees is lightning, and that's because I'm 6'4" and I've got a metal rod in my neck, 6 screws in my neck, and a rod from my knee to my ankle. And 10 screws in the tibia and 4 in the knee. I'm a lightning rod, so I get freaked out, and I'm really running a risk here. But walking the dog, and I thought I'd take this time to make a little video for you, cover a couple of things. Let's see here. So one of them is going to be, you just won't believe what went down 2 days ago. I was doing a simultaneous podcast and a YouTube video, and it was all on the same subject. It was all about South Africa and current events there and how it relates to what's going on here in America, and blah blah blah. All of this stuff my South African listeners have been waiting to hear. And I knock out probably, it starts off with a little rough start, but it starts smoothing out about 3 minutes into it, and I start to get that feeling of, man, this is really flowing good. I'm doing a good job here. And I rock on for an hour, and when I'm done, I realize that I wasn't recording anything. There's a hawk chasing another bird. That pissed me off. Can you imagine that? I'm all proud of myself thinking what a great guy I am, and it turns out I only recorded about 2 minutes of it. But this is what makes it worse. I actually uploaded the podcast on a new podcast site that I'm trying. And when I realized it only had 2 minutes, I went to delete it, and it says you can't delete it. It'll fuck up the algorithms or something. So somewhere out there in podcast world, there's 2 minutes of me at my worst. And it cuts off just as I'm getting to my bed. All right, so Mason tried to chase a hawk and yanked the phone out of my hand, so I guess I stopped in the middle of the last recording. Anyways, so the last video I made was of the Bigfoot sighting, and what I was going to do now, if I don't get killed by lightning on this walk, is I'm going to touch on a little bit of what the failed video was, and I'll see if I can get back into that frame of mind here. As you can see, I'm a little clunky here starting off because it's hard to remember and it's frustrating, all the shit that I covered in that video. But basically, it had to do with the similarities, and I think I called the podcast The United States of South Africa. Maybe that's what I'll call this video. And it had to do with, for those that have been following me for a long time, you know that I've been referring to South Africa as the canary in the coal mine in terms of a good look at what was coming to America. Now, even I have to admit I was surprised at how quickly it got here. But anybody that was even slightly awake knew that you could see that this tidal wave of communism that is sweeping over all of the West, all of Europe, and the way the Democrats in America are openly admitting, for the most part, that they're socialist, which you and I know is just a communist that doesn't know it yet, or is too stupid to realize he's a communist. So, sorry about that. So, canary in the coal mine. Well, before we knew it, right out of the blue, well, and I'm not saying that I'm like Edward Casey, that I'm a predictor, but we also know that for a good year or two, I've been saying that we were just one white police officer killing a black person away from complete meltdown in America. And as we all know, that happened with George Floyd. And it really didn't matter, in my opinion, what caused it. The next event was going to cause what happened, but none of us could have seen the level of shit that was going to come down in terms of the COVID-19 and all of the racism and the Black Lives Matter and all this other bullshit, which is, it has all come about too conveniently and ramped up too conveniently as we move closer and closer to this election, which is 3 months from now. And I got to tell you, for you Americans, if you're not awake yet, then you're never going to wake up. Come on, Mason, let's go. Honestly, I think by now, all of the campaigning that is going on and that's going to go on in terms of our election should be futile right now, because at this point, you as an American either know what's going on or you don't, and if you don't, it means you're not capable of it. This is all just my opinion, because it's all right in your face. This is all a complete attempt to exaggerate the whole effects of this COVID-19 and to take advantage of this disaster and use it against the victory of the president, as President Trump. So I got people passing me saying, I hate doing this shit, but hey guys, hi, good, how you doing?
Hey, cutie.
Well, thank you. What about the dog? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. So the lady said, hey cutie, look how red I get. She said, hey cutie, to Mason. And I said, what about the dog? It's a good thing her husband didn't pull a gun out and shoot me. But yeah, I think by now you either know or you can't know in terms of what's going on here. So people tell me, well, Mike, what are you saying, that the coronavirus is not real? And as I've said before, no, of course it's real. But, you know, I just heard another talk show that I could do a whole thing on. And they were talking about how fucked up the president is for drop, because we have the highest death count in the world. And it's amazing to me that somebody could say that and pretend not to know that these numbers are all skewed. That if you go into any hospital in America with a fucking broken toe, they put you down as on when you get there as you got COVID-19. And then it's up to the doctor to manually take that out at the end of a 12 or 15 hour shift. I've covered all this before. It's all numbers manipulation. It's just like the polls, everything else. I mean, we are in total meltdown mode, to the point of them trying to get a guy like Biden in position as a vice president, which, you know, that is hard to believe when you think about it, because the guy is clearly not fit, not capable. And as far as debates go, I know I'm jumping around like a maniac. It's hard to do this shit while I'm walking. But as far as the debates go, I will be very surprised if we ever see a debate. I can't imagine Biden's people letting him debate Trump. I think there'll be some excuse, and they'll probably have to do with COVID-19 or something. But there is no way they're going to let him get his ass beat and embarrassed any more than he already has. So that's my prediction on the debates. What else? South Africa. Let's go back to South Africa. South Africa is, for those that aren't following it, you need to do some Googling and check out what's going on there, because just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, they are under. That's scary. South Africa is imploding. It is to the point now where, honestly, the people that are trying to get out of South Africa, I don't even think there's time for it anymore. I get a lot of private correspondence from people asking me to help them get out. Those new to the channel know that I've helped a few families get out of South Africa. It's not as easy as it was back then, and it wasn't even easy back then. But things have gotten harder. The violence has kicked way up, and now they're doing the land grabs. They're taking people's land, and I'm not going to waste time on this video explaining the history of South Africa and why that's happening, but suffice to say, it's all racially motivated, and South Africa is a communist country that's controlled by crooked dictators who are in bed with China. You know, same old song and dance, with a big, heavy racial component to it, anti-white, which is why, if you're new to the channel, you've never heard of this, because that doesn't fit the agenda of the media, to give a fuck about white people who are being slaughtered every day and having their very ancestral land stolen out from under them. It's all about payback for apartheid. That's what it is. South Africa is as xenophobic as the American Indians were before we got here. You know, if the whites are all gone today, they'll be fucking hacking each other to death because my tribe's better than your tribe. So don't buy into the bullshit that white people invented slavery and racism and all this other shit and xenophobia. We're all part of the same fucking globe, and the things happening in South Africa and in the US were not invented by the people that settled those areas. They were inherited by them, and I know that doesn't fit the agenda, but I don't want to get too far off into the weeds. I probably should wrap this video up. It's too difficult for me to talk and walk. I can hear how clumsy I sound. But I just wanted to touch base, and I'll try and narrow these things down to a more coherent video if I get home without getting killed here. The storm is approaching. But in the meantime, I appreciate all you guys that watched the Bigfoot video and commented. I thought that I actually received a lot better comments than I anticipated, to be quite honest with you. So that actually made me feel good. And you know what? I might tell some more esoteric type stories. I've got a hell of a lot to tell. I had for whatever reason, and I have my own theories on that, I have a very long history, starting from my childhood until current times, of experiencing very odd and paranormal type shit. So who knows? Maybe I ought to start another channel about paranormal shit. Come on. Although there's so much of that anymore. Anyways, you guys stay safe. Element Tactical. I am out of here.